Hey, centripetal acceleration, what's up? It is the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums, and today I am going to do an album review on the latest Against All Logic album 2017 to 2019. This is the first album in the year, actually in the decade, that I keep going back to. So, we're in for a good one, boys. We're in for a good one. Uh, this is perhaps my favorite album of the year so far. So, Against All Logic is actually just a nickname for a guy named Nicholas Jaar, an electronic house music mastermind, and he had been making music for a while now. I have done this take for like 20 times already. Actually 2 times. And yeah, Nicholas Jaar had been making a lot of music. We have the album Space is Only Noise, which is one of his best records. The track Keep Me There is a total friggin' banger. He had also done collaboration projects like Dark Side, but in the year 2018, he released an album under the name Against All Logic with the project title 2012 to 2017, and it is one of the most fun, fantastic, danceable, groovy jam albums of the decade, in my opinion. It is an electronic album that is both nuanced and both well produced and luxurious, but also at the same time very catchy and accessible. And Nicholas Jaar had also done a few singles that I really enjoy, one of which is Mi Mujer, which I think is his best song if you're not counting the ones off of Against All Logic. Um, but if you're counting the ones off of Against All Logic, my favorite would be City Fade. And then, not too long ago, he dropped 2017 to 2019, which is a time period shorter than 2012 to 2017. And the musical styles on this album is actually slightly different from that on 2012 to 2017. The debut. I'm going to refer to them as the debut and the sophomore because it gets really confusing with the numbers. So, the debut album is some danceable, groovy micro house jams, but on the sophomore, this one, it is more tech house than it is micro house. There's a slight difference. It is more experimental. The styles are more versatile. He sort of explores more into the techno and industrial genres, and the production on this album is more lo-fi. The music is less catchy, but more rough around the edges, so it's slightly different. Going into the album, I already knew that this album is going to be a slight change of pace given the two singles released before this album, and the two singles aren't really all that great, but they're not terrible as well. It's essentially some noisy, crazy, abrasive industrial music. The track with Lydia Lunch is pretty good. The track with FK Twigs isn't as good. It's a bit of a mess, but still, I was hoping for a really refreshing change of pace, and I was right. There is a change of pace on this album. Starting off, we have the track Fantasy, which is amazing, which is fantastic. We get some sweet vocal chant samples, which are actually Beyonce vocal samples. They are chopped up and rearranged around this really crunchy tribal beat. We also get some distorted, compressed white noise on top of a layer, a bed of ambient synths. They're all really beautifully arranged, and we also get some chord progressions on this track, which are really beautiful, really summery and sweet, and I really enjoyed the opener. And then we have the second track, If Loving You Is Wrong, which also feels kind of sweet and danceable like Fantasy, but it feels more like a song that would have came out in the debut album rather than in the sophomore album, because it is more chill, more cool. The grooves are more linear here, but still the production here is more lo-fi than that of the debut. We get some distant, soulful vocals, and the melodies on this album, they are hypnotizing, they're mesmerizing, they're psychedelic. I really love them. The tones of their sound kind of reminds me of ship honks for some reason. I love the ending of the track where it gets really fat, saturated, and euphoric, and overall the track is just very mesmerizing and lovely. Then we have the third track with An Addict, which is not one of the more memorable tracks on the entire record. We get some rapid, fast-paced IDM beats on top of a serene bed of ambient instrumentals, which isn't really all that special or flavorful or anything, and the combo of the IDM beats and the instrumentals aren't really all that entertaining, aren't really all that memorable. The sleepy hip hop samples halfway through the track is pretty nice, and the rhythmic breakdown at the very end, where it just melts down, is pretty cool. But overall, the track just doesn't quite have the oomph that I hoped a Nicholas Jaar track would have. The next track, If You Can't Do It Good, Do It Hard, featuring Lydia Lunch, does have the oomph that I really want from a Nicholas Jaar track. In fact, this track is incredibly raw, rough, compressed, abrasive. The tones are sour, they're sharp, and we also get these bassy booming kicks that are just fat and bassy and awesome. And then the tension of the album continues to rise with two very wild, raw bangers in the middle of this record. First off, we have the track Alarm, which is short and brief, but crazy. It sounds like a crazy, insane, multi-parted alarm just going off, blasting off. We get some banging drums, metallic clings and clangs, intense clicking, and overall, it's really groovy, it's really fun and catchy at the same time. It's tense. And then we have the next track, Deeeeeefers. Yes, that's how it's spelled, with 7 E's between the D and the F. Which is similar to the track Alarm, except it's more melodic, more futuristic, slightly more apocalyptic, and way more flavorful and colorful. You can call it techno, but it isn't exactly techno. It is something weirder, something more special, something more experimental. The melodic parts of this track kind of reminds me of that Beethoven song where it goes dun 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 dun, which is actually Symphony Number 5. We also get some throbbing bass, some burnt cymbals, and these bridges that are very futuristic and hypnotic and apocalyptic. But then when the beats sort of return from that bridge, it is awesome. It is orgasmic. And overall, I friggin' love this track. I go back to this track a lot. And then we have the track Faith, which is also pretty amazing. We get some choir vocals that are pretty ghostly, almost gospely, but you can't really tell because it's just really muffled up and distant. We get some tight synths and also some skipping, cyclic, noisy clangs. Bang, 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 and it's really cool. And then the last two tracks on the album, not really all that great, a bit of a dud. We have the track Penny, which is a change of tone. On the track list here, it sounds super peaceful, ethereal, a little uplifting. The synths are kind of mushy, not really all that fantastic. And then we have the ending of the album, You (parenthesis forever) close parenthesis, and it is a pretty short, pretty brief little ambient piece at the end of the album, which is kind of cliche for a 2020s electronic album. It's disjointed, very disconnected, and it's not terrible for an ambient piece, but still, it's easily the least eventful, least inventive on the entire track list. Here, we get some compressed, scrapping noise like on any ambient track in the recent years, and it just kind of fizzles out at the end. Not really all that great of an ending. It's kind of anticlimactic, to be honest. But still, overall, I really love this album. There are flaws, yes, but still, I enjoy a majority of the album. I think Nicholas Jaar is still one of the most creative and one of the best electronic artists of the decade. of the 2010s, but surely in the 2020s too. And I'm looking forward to whatever project he has next. I am saying that my favorite track here is Deeeeeefers, and my least favorite is You Forever. I am giving Against All Logic 2017 to 2019 a decent 8 out of 10. I also really like the album cover. It's just unnecessarily cramped and wordy. We even get a little stock photo there. So, have you listened to the new Against All Logic album? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like if you like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. Also, I will be reviewing the new Tame Impala, the new Tricot, the new Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats, the new Kesha, Megan Trainor, Lil Wayne, the new HMLTD, the new Grimes, the new Loathe, maybe Destroyer. Yeah, very soon.